The review of how we got started is a quick recollection that we first need to figure out what the college costs are going to be for our child, and there are calculators out there to help calculate that number. The next thing is try to figure out what the financial aid system might be expecting from you as a family, and there are calculators for that. Again, the difference would be the amount that you might want to try to set up a savings plan to achieve. You might also want to set up the savings plan to help reduce what the system is going to suggest that you are reasonably able to afford. So rather, that might look like a pretty difficult task to come up with the money that the system says you're going to come up with, but that could be made less difficult if indeed you have had some planning and saving and some assets to help reduce or help meet what's the expected contribution. When you're thinking about potential resources, some of us are blessed in that we have employers that also provide educational benefits for their children. You may want to check into your human resources department to see whether that particular benefit might also be available to help with college costs. And finally, there may be other relatives in the family, godparents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, who might very well also be potential resources to help meet this college expense. So how do we get going? It's something you can do on the web today. It would take probably 15 or 20 minutes to open an account. The first thing we have to determine is who's going to be the account owner, and it could be you, the parent, you, the grandparent, it could be an uncle, could be anybody. So, and then who's the beneficiary going to be would be the next issue. And the child might not even be born yet. Well, then there's a way of setting up an account, even though there wouldn't be a Social Security number yet for a few months until after the child receives one. Then you have to decide what kind of investment option are you going to take. Do you want to do the college savings programs? If so, what are the options under there in terms of risk and changing asset allocations and all? Or you can go the prepaid tuition route. Or you can consider using the private college 529 program, or you may very well feel comfortable and confident in doing your own thing with your own investment strategies and chasing down those opportunities. Once you've decided what you're going to do, then you need to open the account and put some money into it. So it's pretty simple when you look at it that way. How do you fund the account? Well, ideally, as early as possible, you would start the process. As early as possible after the child is born, you would start. And it could be a regular monthly payment. It could be very modest to begin with a plan that every year you would grow it by a certain percentage. And again, if you want to find out what you really need to be doing, how much would the monthly payment be that you need to set aside, you can back into that number using these calculators that are now available free of charge. So you can do it on a regular basis out of your income stream, but there are other opportunities to fund 529 programs or college savings programs, which might include considering your tax refund when that's received. That is money that typically is special when it does arrive, and at least part of it or all of it could go into the 529. Holiday gifts, birthday gifts could also be added. And if some parents receive a bonus or a merit raise of some sort, maybe that extra money could go in. And finally, if there is indeed a second job or a second wage earner, maybe all of those, some of those revenue dollars could also be added. The other special opportunity that we'd like to remind people about is that at a certain point, maybe a payment stops, a payment for a car, a mortgage is paid off, your own student loan as a parent may have ended. Those dollars that were going in that direction could now be deployed, or at least some of them, into the 529 program. So in review, we feel very strongly that it's important to plan and save. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, who are attending this webinar today are attending it because you believe strongly in the importance of a college education. So setting up a 529, especially the earlier you start, the smaller the monthly payment might be, the less expensive it's going to be when the time comes, the less burden on your finances at the time, and probably less expensive in terms of interest on financing ways that many families have to face because they haven't done enough planning and saving. And finally, again, as I started the presentation earlier, you'll have more choices for your student. If the student does get admitted to his or her top school, you can help make that dream come true. The final couple overheads here now are going to pretty much refer you to some public websites that are excellent for additional information about saving for college. The Private College 529 also has its own website, and there's a couple places here noted on the slide.